Hey folks, Country Prepper here, back in the storage room. Today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about water containers and water storage. Because as you know, or at least we should know, that storing water is one of the most important aspects of prepping. So I have 3 different containers here to compare, and these are all ones that you can get at your local Walmart, or at least I could get them at both of the Walmarts that are within a decent driving distance for me. The first one is the Reliance aquatainer. Most of us have seen those in other water storage videos. It's a pretty popular option for preppers. The next one is the Ozark Trail, but as far as I could tell, it's also made by Reliance. This type of jerry can type of jug, that one holds 6 gallons. And then I've talked about this in, I don't know, a couple of videos ago, the Ice Mountain containers and how I use those and kind of a price comparison per gallon on these containers. Then I'm also going to talk about the 55-gallon barrel that they have on Walmart.com and just kind of go over how that compares to these other containers. So first up is the Reliance aquatainer. That's, like I said, it's a pretty good option. It's very familiar in the prepper community, and that costs $14.97. Where I picked it up, same price as it is on Walmart.com. It holds 7 gallons. It's, you know, some of the pros for it, it is a decent quantity for storing. It doesn't take a whole lot of those to add up to 100 gallons. Or I guess you couldn't get 100 gallons since it's a 7-gallon container, but close to around that. It does have a 5-year warranty on it. So that's kind of a, you know, a good positive. If nothing ever happens and it breaks down within 5 years, you can get a new one. And it does have some pretty positive reviews everywhere I've looked. I also looked at these on Amazon just to get a better idea of the reviews and the quality of them. The cons to this container: it is a little bit more difficult to get to carry than the rest of them, because 7 gallons of water weighs with the container about 60 pounds, and it's kind of, you know, it's kind of odd shaped for carrying. It's just you know, square, and it's kind of wide. So and they are not stackable when they are filled up. I had a feeling somebody might ask me that. So you can stack them when they're empty, but not when they're full. And why would we ever keep these on hand empty? That doesn't make any sense to me. So it does come with a spigot on it, and let me unscrew this and show you that. Just comes on there. And you know, basically when you buy something like this, I would still rinse it out once, maybe sanitize it once with bleach, rinse it out again, and then fill it up with your municipal water. Now, if you don't live in town and you don't have water that's already treated by the, you know, municipal company or by the town, whatever, then you do, like well water, you will want to add bleach to it. If you have municipal water, you do not need to add anything to it. It's already been treated. Now, I had somebody ask me in that video where I mentioned this container, why not filter it before you store it? Well, then you have to retreat it. So you might as well put it away treated out of your municipal water supply, right out of the tap, and then when you go to drink it, when you go to use it, then you filter it to make sure that nothing, you know, grew in there. Even if you can't see it, just as a precaution, you filter it before you drink it. Now, for the most part, you know, a lot of the water that you store in reusable containers, like your juice jugs, milk jugs, that I don't recommend, but some people do it. And then, you know, other jugs kind of like this, and I'll get to that. That's like your gray water supply, things that you use for washing dishes, bathing, washing your hands, flushing the toilet if the sewer system still works. That's gray water. That's kind of what those reusable containers are for. Containers like this are BPA free, and so that is a good option for drinking water. So moving on to the next one, the Ozark Trail. This one, like I said before, is 6 gallons, and I don't see anything about a spigot on here, so I'll look. Dropping stuff here. Okay, so it has a pour spout instead of a spigot. So this, to me, is a good option for keeping in a vehicle. However, in the wintertime, you know, it is going to expand, and I'll say that. But this has a lot of poor reviews about it leaking, especially in the corners by, you know, like in these seams. Well, it's not really even a seam, it's just where it was molded, where it's pushed out. But also they said that the container itself was not terribly strong. It bulged out on the sides, but that's kind of expected with that much weight in water, about 50 pounds. And so 6 gallons comes up close to 50 pounds. So I don't know. This one's a little easier to carry, so that's why I think it would be better for keeping in a vehicle. So if you were to get something like this just as a precaution, you might want to get like a 55-gallon contractor bag, one of those good heavy-duty drum liners, and put this inside of that bag just in case it ever does leak. But that's what I plan on doing with it anyway, and I guess if it ever breaks loose, if it starts leaking on me, if something happens to it, you know, if the seam splits or whatever the case, then I'll have to do a video and let you guys know. Now, the other con to this, I don't know if you can really see it on camera very well, but where the seam is in this handle, it is not cut very clean. It is kind of rigid. So I don't know. You'd want to wear a pair of gloves when you're carrying this, just because. I mean, unless you really have calloused hands. I have pretty good calluses on my hands from all the work that I do, but you still might want to carry or wear a glove when you're carrying that. One of those, if it's really bad, it could cut your hand. So just something to keep in mind. The other thing that I forgot to mention on both of these, this does have an air hole, so that when you're pouring it, you don't have to get that glug, you know, vapor lock thing like you do with the new gas cans nowadays that I just love. But I have a way to fix that, and I'll have to do a video on that. But this aquatainer also has that. This one actually has a screw top one, and I like that. So for the price, they're pretty comparable price per gallon. The aquatainer price per gallon is $2.14. The Ozark Trail container is $2.16 per gallon. So really close. So it kind of depends on what you want the container for. Now on to the Ice Mountain containers. Now these come pre-filled with spring water, or at least that's what they claim, and it's $1.26 for one of these. The nice thing about these is they are stackable, and so if you have a taller shelf and you can get 2 of these on each shelf, then, you know, that works out great. If you're doing like just a pallet or something like that in the basement, to keep these, you know, cool and out of the light, that's one con to this, is you have to keep it out of the light, or otherwise stuff could grow in there. But if the water's treated, you shouldn't have a problem. But just as an extra precaution, you know, you want to do as much as you can to prevent anything like that from happening. So keep it in a dark room. My basement doesn't have any windows in it. The one window it did have, I blocked off. So just to keep light away from my storage of stuff that I have down there. This is a different room, but anyway, so $1.26 for this when it's full, and you go ahead and drink the water, and then you refill it, and you use the water that you refilled for your gray water, like I was talking about earlier. So use it to wash your hands, wash your hair, face, take a bath if you have to, wash, or you can flush the toilet if the sewer system still works. A lot of things you can do with gray water. And so I consider it gray water because it's in a reusable container. This is the number 1 on the recycling chart, and so that means it is PET, I think, is the plastic, and that is something that is not BPA free and it is not recommended to be reused. But it is a good thicker plastic container, thicker than a milk jug, and so I think it's a good option for storing, like I said, gray water. And these Since they come in a 3 liter, this is 3 liters instead of a gallon, so I had to do a little bit of math gymnastics with this. Not much, but just a little bit. So in order to get the per gallon price, 2 of these would be a gallon and a half. And so I just went ahead and went to 4 of them. That's 3 gallons. Made the math a little bit easier. And then you divide that by 4 jugs, and you get 75 cents. That's at $1 per jug, because I looked up the price. If you were to buy like bulk milk jugs, 1 gallon milk jugs, those are $1.12. So just kind of a guesstimate, good guesstimate at a 3 liter jug. I went with $1 each. That's kind of where you're, I guess where you fall in for price category, and that comes up to 75 cents per gallon that I had on my little cheat sheet here. So the pros, like I said, it is stackable, it's really cheap. The cons, it's not BPA free, and you have to control the environment that it's in, like I said, with the dark windows and keeping it cool. You don't want your water to be in a place where the temperature fluctuates a lot. That's why basements are so great for storing water. The last thing I want to talk about is 55-gallon barrels. Now, I know a lot of people find these on like Craigslist, or you find them at like a canning company like, Coca-Cola or Pepsi, or if you have any of those type of places around you. There are a lot of different places where you can get food grade 55-gallon barrels, and you want to make sure you do get food grade barrels. But for those people that can't find them anywhere, sometimes you can find them on like Craigslist, or maybe you can find them locally on eBay or in classifieds or whatever. That kind of makes me a little bit nervous, because you're not absolutely sure what you're going to get unless the label is still on the barrel. So that makes me a little bit nervous. I would not want to store drinking water in something that I don't know what came in it or where it came from. That would just, that to me is just kind of a no-no. It's not worth the risk. Usually you could find them anywhere between $10-20 per barrel when you find them in those kind of places. So that is a very cost-effective way to store a lot of gray water, so you could use it for that, but I would not use it for drinking water unless you know the source and what was in it. But anyway, for the people that cannot find them anywhere else, they do have them online. The cheapest place I found them was Walmart.com, and that was I think it was Emergency Essentials. I'll leave a link to it in the description just in case anybody needs one. It's not like an affiliate link or anything like that, but just in case anybody needs one. They're $65.15. I know that sounds like a lot, but hear me out here. The price per gallon is 84 cents. That is just barely over the price of one of these, and they are BPA free, so you can use them for drinking water, and it would just be absolutely safe. Make sure you keep it off of concrete, though. Concrete will leach out bad stuff into the plastic and then into your water. You don't want that. So make sure you keep your 55-gallon barrels, or any kind of water container, keep it off of concrete. Even just a sheet of plywood or something like that will do the trick. So it's a good large quantity. That's one of the cons, or one of the pros, I should say. The cons, the only con I can really come up with for that, other than the price, but price per gallon, it's great. The only other con I can think of is you can't pick it up and move it once it's filled. You're not going to carry it out and throw it in your truck like you could with these other containers that I'm talking about. So if you had to leave your home for whatever reason, if you were able to take a vehicle and you wanted to take some water with you, these other containers would be a good one. Maybe you already have one of these in your truck, or even the aquatainer, weighing about 60 pounds, you could get it out to your vehicle and take off and have some extra water with you. 55-gallon barrel, you're not going to do that. But I am planning on filling these up and keeping an eye on them and doing an update video probably in about a year to let you know how these are holding up unless something bad happens to them, and then I will let you know if one of them starts leaking or anything like that. Either one of these containers, like I said before, they are comparable in price, so I think they're a good option for storing some water, at least if you're just getting started, or if you're on a tight budget, you can't find any big 55-gallon barrels, or whatever the case is. These are a good option if you're, like doing like me, like when I started, and like I still do from time to time, just doing a little bit at a time. You buy one of these for, what was it, 13 or 15 bucks? Yeah, aquatainer's 15, Ozark Trail one's 13. So, 15 bucks at a time. You store 7 gallons at a time. Plus, buy a few of these, drink the water, refill them so you have some gray water to use for other things. And, I mean, you could possibly use that for cooking. I wouldn't want to drink it, though. So those are just a few options for storing water. There are a lot of different ways for storing water. I am always researching things like that. I've even thought about getting 5-gallon buckets with Mylar bags. It probably wouldn't be necessary to have the Mylar bags, but even if you just had a bunch of 5-gallon buckets with lids on them for storing gray water, that's another good option for that type of water use. If you could set up a rain catchment system for a 55-gallon barrel, that'd be awesome too. They do make some barrels that are made for sitting outside. They're usually black, or else black with like some brown paint to make them look like one of the old like whiskey barrels. But that's a good option if you have the money to set one of those up. But those are pretty expensive, usually around $100, maybe sometimes more. I've seen some of them that were up in the $150 range. And so, I mean, it's an option if you have the money. Being able to catch rainwater would be an excellent way to replenish your stockpile if there were a really long-term SHTF type of situation. So that's all I got for you guys today. I rambled on long enough. So what is your favorite way to store water? I'd really love to hear back from you guys, and maybe we'll talk about that a little bit in the premiere and in the comments afterwards. As always, I thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.